Namaskaram. So, day 14 of the Save Soil journey, and today, in continuation with what we looked at yesterday, I just thought we'll share another way in which we can contribute towards soil rejuvenation, in which even a small contribution from our side can help in rejuvenating the soil. So, one of the ways in which you can contribute towards rejuvenating the soil, yesterday we looked at how by including fruits in our diet, if at least one third of our diet becomes fruit, it can make a big difference in terms of soil rejuvenation. Another aspect is, if you can do this, is for example, right now, if you see that you are eating non-vegetarian food, if you can cut down the non-vegetarian food in your diet by 50%, even if it's not possible for you to go completely off non-vegetarian, if at least you can cut down to 50% of whatever you are consuming right now, this itself can play a huge role in terms of rejuvenating the soil. How this would work is, if you just right now, if the meat consumption in the world goes down by 50%, then what could happen is, right now almost 77% of the agricultural land is used for raising animals and for growing fodder, etc., for the animals. So basically it is mainly for the consumption, for the consumption of meat. So basically this much land is being used, it's being utilized now in this world. If you cut this down, if the meat consumption goes down by 50%, then 50% of this land will become available for agriculture, and that we can use for tree based agriculture, for forestry, agroforestry. And if this can help in improving the amount of trees, the tree cover increases. If this much land which is being currently used for raising animals and its and their produce and their food, if this much land becomes free, and if we can do agroforestry on that much land which becomes available now, then in turn this these trees can generate income for the farmer. It can raise their economic status, and also these trees can help increase the organic content in the soil, because when these leaves fall, when this will become organic matter in the soil. So that can also help, because one of the ways in which you can increase the organic content in the soil, there are two ways. One is animal waste, and the second is the plants and other things from trees. So if these leaves, etc., if these dried leaves, etc., they fall, that will enrich the organic content in the soil. So just by making a simple change in our diet, which is anyway good for our system, as you know, this is common knowledge. Even doctors around the world are saying this, that if one can reduce meat consumption, it will be good for one's health. In yoga, we don't look at this in terms of moral science or philosophy, that you should not eat meat, etc., because whether you eat vegetarian food or meat, it's just that you're taking some form of life. So you just have to see what you can eat which is conducive for the system. And if you look at a system, you will see this is not about any philosophy. If you just look at our system, and you will see that our system is mostly designed for vegetarian food, and it is more conducive for the system. It's very easy for the system to process vegetarian food. So it's for this reason, at least if you can switch or at least reduce your consumption of meat by 50%, it can make a big difference if people can do that. And you will see that in terms of in terms of meat, if you feel that you cannot do without meat, one of the ways you can still continue to have non-vegetarian food is, if you can have seafood, if you can have fish or seafood, that is farthest away from us in terms of evolution. So that is much easier for the system to digest than having a mammal. So Sadhguru was mentioning this, that if you want to have non-vegetarian food, then the best non-vegetarian food which you can have is fish, because this is something which is farthest away from human beings in terms of evolution, and the way it integrates into the system is much easier compared to having a mammal. So if you can do that, and that is something which will be very beneficial. Apart from that, you will see the digestive system is also designed differently for for human beings. If you look at their digestive system, it's very similar in terms of herbivores than carnivores. So if you look at herbivores and carnivores, the way the digestive system is designed is very different. For herbivores, it will be almost the length of the alimentary canal would be approximately 5 to 6 times the length of their body, but for carnivores, it will be approximately 3 to 4 times the length of their body. Why this is so is because meat passes through the system very slowly, and that's why they have a shorter alimentary canal. For human beings, the length of the alimentary canal is about 25 to 30 feet, which is approximately 5 to 6 times the length of the body, which is similar to herbivores. So if you see our system, it is designed for eating vegetarian food. Also, the structure of the teeth, you will see that carnivores have canines for cutting and tearing the meat, which is not there in herbivores. Even we don't have any extra pair of teeth to cut open the meat unless you grow them externally. So we have more of grinding and chewing action. We do have canines for cutting, but it is not like carnivores where they have a separate extra pair of canines for tearing the meat. So if you look at our body, it's very similar in terms of design to herbivores, and it's basically meant for processing plant-based or vegetarian matter much more easily. You will see if you eat vegetarian food, it stays in the system for less period of time. If you eat meat, if you eat if you eat raw meat, it may stay in the system for more than 72 hours. If you eat cooked meat, it can stay in the system for a minimum of 48 hours or more, 48 to 60 hours. But if you eat vegetables, if you eat a cooked vegetable, it will stay in the system only for less period of time, maybe about 24 hours. If you eat raw vegetable, it will stay in the system for even lesser period of time, only about 8 to 12 hours. So plant-based matter or vegetarian matter passes through the system much more quickly, and it's easier for the system to handle. So if not for anything else, just so that your system becomes a little more at ease, if we can try to switch to a predominant vegetarian based diet, that will be very conducive not only for our health but also ecologically for the planet, and you can also contribute in saving soil. So please see if you can implement this. For those of you who can take this commitment at least for the remaining period of the Save Soil journey, if you can reduce your meat consumption by at least 50%, you will see that at least this will be a contribution towards rejuvenating the soil. Namaskaram.